in Teams, it should, at the end of the session, auto-generate the recording. So you should be able to just download that and post it to wherever the group would like it. Great, so let me get everything set up here and then I can share my screen. Hi, Andrew.
I'm going to turn my mic off because I'm going to eat pizza during this.
Probably be quieter than like potato chips or something. All right, we're hitting the record button. I'm going to share my screen here in a moment. So let me know when you can see it. Maybe. Go.
Yep, good.
Good to go. All right, I'm going to be looking at a different screen. So if you have questions, just please stop me as we go along, because I have a hard time having this on screen and seeing your faces. So take yourself off mute and just jump in and ask questions as we go along. So welcome everybody. Thank you for joining today. I'm Jessica Anderson, your test development manager for the APCCMPD, CCM and PCCM and service exams. Today is just a brief session to do two things, to basically quickly go over some of the item writing guidelines that we discussed at the last meeting. So while this will not be a comprehensive review of all of the item writing rules, it's some helpful reminders as you're going into this year's assignment. And then the bulk of the time today, we're going to be going through item workshop instructions. I will walk you through what you will see with your account login. You should have received some account information, but I'll walk you through what that will look like, what your assignments will look like, and then we can have some time to ask questions as well if you'd like to go ahead and walk through your login as we go along. So I'm going to move pretty quickly through, again, just some of the reminders that we are only writing multiple choice single key questions with 3 distractors. So 3 options, 1 correct response, but you are able to add images and videos to your questions in the item banking system. We are not allowing for multiple response, true, false, or alternative item types. You may see in the item bank some options for adding these. We ask that you only add multiple choice questions. As a reminder, please make sure that the items that you're writing focus on a single issue, that they're testing the most important and pertinent material, and that they are linked directly back to the item writing assignment that you were given. Please use the appropriate language for your audience. We're trying to demonstrate good grammar and punctuation, but don't allow yourself to get too bogged down by that. These items are going to go through a thorough review. So get the content down as best you can. Use a standard number of responses, and then trying to write at the analysis or application level when possible. You'll notice that for the assignment that I did not provide a cognitive complexity level designation for your assignment this time. The goal for all of your items is to be written at the application or analysis level. Okay. So basically, we're just trying to get anything above that recall level question. Make sure that the majority of the information is up in the stem, that you're avoiding anything that's overly specific or excessive information or teaching. Please try and state your questions in the positive. We try to avoid negative phrasing as much as possible. This means which of the following is not. All of the following are true, except those are not acceptable item formats. And those items are more likely to be poorly performing, and they're more likely to be rejected at the item review session. We're avoiding personal pronouns. Again, we can shift that during the editing phase. Avoiding gender and racial identification. This is something we discussed at the last workshop. If it's not relevant to answering the question, and then using common terminology. Responses, just in summary, make sure they're organized, concise, parallel, plausible. And then the responses that you're avoiding to use are all the above, none of the above, or always or never. We want to test what the candidate knows and avoid being tricky. So trick items tend to have trivial content. They tend to try and trip up a test taker if they are too detailed and are put in one little thing that's incorrect in the options. If they're very ambiguous, if you've included a lot of unrelated information into the item stem, or obviously if they have more than one correct answer, and then trying to avoid those negative questions or the multiple true false format. Remember last year when we talked about item writing best practices, this is where the very skilled item writers tend to get tripped up the most, is writing a very vague stem. So all of the following statements about healthcare are true, except. That would be a very vague stem. Which of the following statements is correct about critical care? So that would be, if you think of it as a litmus test, where if you cover up the options, can you still answer the question? Can you still figure out what the question is trying to ask you without looking at the responses? So those are just some general guidelines. Again, we're trying to look at questions that are a little bit beyond just a recall. What are the 3 symptoms? But really trying to, at minimum, apply those to or give some context to a situation. If you can get them up to an analysis level, which is really looking at, can they not only make a diagnosis, but also give you the appropriate intervention? That's ideal. But application level are the ones that we're goals. So I would say aim for analysis. You're usually going to at least hit application, but avoiding those general recall questions because your candidates are more advanced than that. Right now, they are beyond needing to just recall the information. That's the type of question that they should be getting assigned to them in their courses. Now we're looking at, can they apply that knowledge to actual situations? Any questions so far? That may be the quickest that I've ever gone through training. So it's a lot to remember, but you've all been through the process before. Some of these things should start to be familiar. So hopefully those things are familiar, and this is just a refresher on those best practices for item writing. This time through, we have a lot of time before the actual item review session. So the sooner you get your questions in, the more I can do to provide feedback to you prior to the workshop, which will make the workshop go a lot faster. So if you can get your items in earlier, I will actually provide comments or suggestions on those questions and send them back to you so that you could make an edit or a revision or maybe replace an option before the workshop. So if you wait till the last minute, though, I'm not going to have the time to provide more thorough feedback. So again, earlier the better. And even if it's getting like 1 or 2 items in right away, that can really be helpful because then I can provide feedback that will guide the way that you write the rest of your questions. So I'm going to log into Item Workshop. Everyone should have received a account login information link. So click on the link. It's going to prompt you to change your password right away. So make sure you save your password. Your usernames are going to be your email addresses that were used for this. If you have any account information, in any account issues, please at least get logged in. Make sure that you can see what you're expecting to see and that you're seeing what I'm seeing over the next week, please, in the system. So you're going to use your username and password to log in. The first screen you're going to see is going to not be important to you. So don't worry about what you're seeing on this messaging screen. So Brian, I'm not sure if this is what you were similar to what you're seeing. This is just notifications about Item Workshop, what times things are going to be down. There are some blackout periods. They're usually in the middle of the night on a weekend. So if you're in writing questions at 2 a.m. on a Saturday, there may be an outage. But those tend to be at very overnight for us for system outages. Okay, there are some training tabs here and some help tabs and contact support. I would say your first line of questioning can go directly to me. So just drop me an email and ask if you have a question. And usually that's something that I can resolve rather than having you try and dig through the training and contact customer support and wait for them. I will probably be the fastest to get your questions answered regarding the item bank.
Yeah, I think
So,
that's what I saw was under training, but I can't remember.
Oh yeah, this is
that, yeah, where it says register and things like that. Yeah.
Don't worry about that. So
Okay.
think of the whole item bank system. Item workshop is this massive, pie, and you're just seeing one slice of it. You only have access to one tiny little slice of it. What I will be doing and Eric do in the bank is, encompasses more of those things. So the training and the customer support, that's really meant for what we need. Everything that you're going to do within your slice, you can just reach out to us.
Okay.
So you're going to hit this home screen, go up to the upper right corner and just click on continue to bank. Think of that as the lobby, and we're going to click on the bank where we're actually going to go into the exam room. So on the left, you're going to see CCM and PCCM right now. So if I were to log in under my admin rights, I would see your items. I would see the item bank. I would see everything, but you really only have access to what you are creating in the bank right now. So don't be surprised if it says you do not have access to items, files, or tests. We don't want you to have access right now. You don't need to worry about that. But you can go up to the upper right and click on My Assignments. So you have all received your assignments. I sent out the preview via email. I know that I still need to get you the actual content outline for some of you that don't have that on hand, but you have your assignments already via email. It's also included in these two tabs. So they have to be separated out. So it should say your name and then CCM and then your name and PCCM. Mine has 5 items for CCM and I've been assigned 5 items for PCCM. And this will stay open until September 17th. Okay? And then you will not have access to your assignment any longer. If you click on one of your assignments, it will bring you to the screen where it actually summarizes the assignment for you. So this should reflect exactly what was in the email. It gives you which domains you'll be writing to. So you can go ahead and write a question to one of these domains. And so what I'll be doing is creating a test question. So click on type, and this drop-down menu is where it tells you all the different types of items you can create. Again, we're only doing multiple choice. So select multiple choice, select create item. And you can see below right here, it's now created a multiple choice question. Don't worry about making things bold, italic, color, adding music. You don't need to make your text dance. Just go ahead and type in your question. Oops, and you hopefully spell it. It does have spell check, so don't worry about it. And then you're going to add your options. And this is just a matter of going in and adding it, and then click what your correct response is in the toggle. And you'll see it'll mark it down here, what the correct answer is. Okay. Once you save it, it will prompt you, or it'll give you some additional tabs that allow you to add in the metadata information. So if I want to edit this question, I click on edit again. You can always go back and make modifications to your items. They don't go away. You can make changes up till the last day of the assignment. So if you click on your item and you click on edit, you can go in and make changes to your item. You can preview what it would look like. So here's where you make your content changes, and let's make sure you're hitting save. There are also metadata tabs that you will need to add. So if you want to add an exhibit, I will actually show you how to do that. Or if you want to add images, I'm going to show you how to do that in a moment. But I want you to always click over, once you've created your test question, click over to the Properties tab. You'll get all these classifications and hit Edit. The ones that you need to fill out are Blueprint. So you click these three little buttons to the right, and this is where you identify. I wrote an item to, let's see, my item assignment was 2A3C. Catheter associated urinary tract infection. I select it and it's been classified as that, to that content category. Okay. So when I'm finished, I should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items under CCM. 1, 2, 3, and I'll have to create 2 more. And each of these should have the blueprint area that I was assigned to. The other metadata information in here is a nice to have reference. Please make sure you're typing in your reference here. You can just simply type it in. Old exam, not something you have to fill in. Notes, this is only if you want to add some comments or questions or anything that you might want us to bring up to the committee during the review process. Ethics, you don't need to add. And cognitive level, if you can, put in if it's recall, application, or analysis. So you can simply select that. Yep. Make sure you hit save. Any questions on either the content or the metadata properties? Okay. If that's the case, relationships, that's where I can add in item enemies. You should not be creating any items that are conflict with one another, that are enemies to one another. If you're assigned 6 items, we ask that you create 6 unique items across those domains. So that just is going to allow us to be able to put multiple of your items on the same exam form without them conflicting. Can you cut and paste from Word? Yes, sometimes some formatting comes over from that. Let me see. So if you're going to do that, let's see. Yeah, I mean, you can control C and control V is how I do the cut and paste. It's not this might be a setting on my computer because mine doesn't allow my browser to do a cut and paste because of the security settings on my computer. But you should be able, you can cut and paste from Microsoft Word. Other questions? This preview button is kind of nice just because it allows you to save and then take a look at what it looks like. You can go into HTML preview, but I would go edit, preview. This is going to be more important when you're adding an image or a table to make sure that the spacing and the formatting and everything looks how you would expect it to. But there will be an edit that I'll go through to make sure that everything is formatted correctly. The last thing I feel like we should add, comments. You will get a notification via email if I add a comment, or I will send you a direct note just saying, hey, I put some comments in your items. Can you just go ahead and take a look? This is the tab that you can look at, and the comments will populate here. You could also add a comment as well. So you put in the subject, to Jessica, I do not agree with your comment. And it will drop that in there. So then I can see any feedback that you have. Yeah. The last thing I want to show you is adding an image and video. So you can actually do this from this editing screen, is to go into the question where you want to add your image. You can do it the same way for a video as with an image. So this little picture here is insert image. This little video, this little button here is insert video. So I'm going to insert an image, and you can either select from what is available in the bank. That is fine. Our preference is that you create a new one or access a new file. So you can either click here and upload a file. I'm going to choose a file from my computer. I'm going to put in the dolphins. And I'm going to upload it. And then it's going to tell you a little bit about resizing. We'll edit that in properties, but you can go ahead and move that to wherever you would want. In the same way, you can also, as you could see there, you could select an image that's already in the bank, or you can add an image and then use it on a different item. Because once an image is uploaded, it's a part of the image bank, and it can be accessed by all of the item writers. And same process for the video. You just go in, upload it, and select. Any questions? Here's my preview. Okay. And then again, you can go across the items and go back to whatever items you have in progress. I'm not going to have you worry about changing the stage of the question. When you're done, you can just let the item sit, and I will gather them all up once your assignment's complete, and they will be automatically submitted on the due date. Yep. Any questions? And you're most likely, as you go in, going to have questions as you're creating the items. That's when the questions pop up, asking how to do things, where you find something. Please do not hesitate to reach out with questions. I'm more than happy to answer. I try and email is the best way to ask questions, but I can also hop on a call whenever is necessary. Yeah. All right, Brian, Peru, Joyce, anything else that you think that the group might want to see before?
So actually, right there, Jessica, on that CCM assignment, if we, when we click on one of those, that does not automatically bring it through, correct? We have to actually go into the properties and classify it.
When you're completing the item?
Yeah, like let's say you click on, can you click on 2A, 3C, the very first one?
Yep, those don't actually click on it. That's just a note.
Okay, that's just our assignments. Okay,
that's that's just your assignment. Yeah,
okay.
I kind of had to do a little bit of balancing, but yes, it's there. You still have to go into the item and go into the properties and then classify it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm going to keep an eye on as items are coming in. You know, I might just shoot people an email or put in a comment. Just remember to classify your items so that I know which ones are associated with which blueprint area.
Oh, I see. Okay. So when you hit blueprint on there, it doesn't come out critical. Does it come out critical care? Does critical care come in?
So the CCM assignments, the critical care assignments are all in one bucket, and then the CDM. Let's see. I'm gonna need to go over here. The PCCM ones are all here. Okay. Yep. Okay. So if I click on PCCM, now I see this is just the content, my assignment for PCCM. So some people have like 3 items and 5 items. Some people have 5 and 5. It's distributed kind of differently between CCM and PCCM. Everyone has a total of 8 to 10 questions, but they may be distributed differently between those the two exams.
Okay.
So yeah. So if you're in PCCM, so now I'm in my PCCM assignment, I'm going to create an item, a multiple choice item, create it here. I'm going to info here, just hit save. It's created now my item down below. You can see the name of it, I guess. And then once I click on properties and go to edit, now I'm accessing just the PCCM blueprint. And so then I would go, okay, 1A, 5D. So it only allows you to access the content outline for the item bank that you're in, CCM or PCCM. Save, save, save. So, I mean, you can write things offline and put it in here, but you can also partially complete an item and walk away from it and come back in and change it. Yeah, sorry, Stephanie, I forgot to do that. I will send out the content outlines as well. But you don't have this memorized, like what 1C, 1K is? Yeah,
not this week.
It's Friday. We don't.
Okay.
And just pull that out. Okay. All right. Any other questions?
Looks pretty simple.
I think so. I think it'll be hopefully it'll be smooth process. Again, ask questions as we go along, and hopefully this will make it really quick and easy for us to transition to the meeting, and make it so that, you know, and Brian too, like I can give you access to review items in this format as well as people's assignments are coming in. So something we can talk about if we want to make any adjustments to the process. Yeah. All right.
Jessica, there's one more question in the chat.
Yep.
Dr. Rapello is asking if there's any pending or submitting. So are they just entering the question in the system and that's
yeah,
it?
you know, my preference is to just enter it and let it be a work in progress until the due date. So don't worry about changing the stage. Don't worry about, making it pending or submitting it. I know what's expected that's going to be coming in, so I'm able to monitor kind of what's coming through and what stage it's in, but don't worry about, you know, officially submitting the item. You get them to the point where you think they're done, you can just kind of let them sit until the due date.
Okay.
That's a process that we may change going forward, but for right now, I like how that works for different groups. Mostly just because I'm so involved in looking at the questions and kind of watching them as they're coming in and being developed. Okay. All right, I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
Jessica, for everybody on the call too, if your assignments are not something in your area of expertise, let me know and then we can reassign them or I can do them. And Rayanne, if when you start getting yours together, let me know. And then I can work with Jessica or just work with you directly on how to get some of the ones done since you're the newest member of the group here as well. I did, as you'll notice, I did assign everybody biologics and statistics. So I did not pick anybody out particularly, but everybody has, since nobody picked, they wanted to do any biologics or statistics, you all got at least probably one question in one of those two groups. So I guess we'll all become experts in biological or cell biology or something like that.
Oh, I thought you meant biologics for asthma or that. You mean the biology and cell biology section?
Cell biology, yeah. I mean, we could use that. So that's what I'm thinking about doing is, I mean, you could use, you know, for cell biology, you could use asthma and some of the biologics in that category.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Or any of the other immunosuppressants too, to find what they suppress T cells or whatever. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But if you have questions like you say, hey, listen, I'm not an expert in this field. Jessica did a wonderful job, and then I went in and changed it all around of what I thought people might like. If you hate it, blame it on me. Don't blame it on Jessica.
It was a partnership. We really did try to match everything to what we thought, that balancing that I'm coming to Brian saying this is what the bank needs, And then we're working to make sure that the right people are writing the items and get that best fit. But there's some of these areas we're really getting down to building the bank in the most challenging areas to write to. So know that these assignments are not easy ones. And because you have an advanced bank, you have a mature bank that now you're looking to kind of fill in some gaps and build up some areas that again tend to see more challenging areas to write or retain items in.
What is the deadline again? I know you sent an email.
September 17th.
When?
September 17th, correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was the 18th.
Okay, September. I thought it was August. Good. That's better.
Yeah, we moved it back a couple weeks. So.
And then I am going to let you all know that I am out of the country the first 2 weeks of September. Hence, you're welcome. You get a couple extra weeks to write your items. But my response to any concerns about the item bank or any questions is going to be pretty limited at the very tail end of your assignment. So Eric will be available. He can, do any logistics type things in the item bank if you need it to. But if you have questions on content or banking things, my preference is to try and ask those earlier rather than later so that I can get back to you quickly.
And actually, I have to thanks Joyce for reminding me. Rayanne, I'll have you introduce yourself. Rayanne Ely is the new member of the committee that probably only, I guess, really now only 3 or 4 of us knew that she was on the committee. But Rayanne, why don't you give us a brief history and certainly welcome to the group. Thanks, Joyce, for reminding me.
Thank you. And I apologize. I was late. I was interviewing a candidate. So I'm Rayanne Ely. I'm a pulmonary critical care, I guess now actually a former pulmonary critical care fellowship director. I handed that over to my APD in July 1st. So 3 weeks without the program under my belt. I'm also the division chief of pulmonary critical care at Charleston Area Medical Center in Charleston, West Virginia. I graduated from University of Kentucky 11 years ago now. And have been at Ohio State and University of Kentucky, and then I did Med-Peds residency at Indiana University. My areas of expertise, I'm in a community-based academic program, and so I really do all the things, but my areas of interest include lung cancer and then cardiac ICU and CT ICU. So those are my areas of interest at least. So I did miss one thing. Where do we put like the rationale for the answers on the questions? Is that somewhere in here? Maybe I just missed it.
We don't need to. We haven't done that in the past.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Just the question.
We don't have
Just
that,
the
just the
question.
reference.
But we do put the reference.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
we don't
down.
now.
Yep. And I think, do we have, Brian, did you give her the sort of the reference parameters? The reference lists and parameters?
No, I'm not sure which reference list that would be, unless
I didn't know if you gave out your the list that was most recently given to candidates for the references that are used on the exam.
No, I did not give that. Yeah.
Okay. That might be helpful just to see what was accessed by the items at the last administration, so that she can kind of see what typically the items are referenced to.
Remember, Ryan, they don't get they never, it's not like a SEEK where they do the question and then see the answers. They never see the answers.
I forget that. I took
Yeah.
the in training this last cycle, and I remember that now that you say that. There's no rationale at the end that you read through.
Give your rationale at the meeting face to face when we go through them, and everybody, then that's kind of when we're talking about that, but the candidates never get to see that part.
Right.
And I'll send the reference list that we circulated last year or this past year.
I think the reference list is helpful for some of the big category areas, so you don't have to go searching for a new reference every time. Like we often reference some of the same ones, but I will say for some of these, like the biological category or whatever, you're probably going to have to seek out something that's not already on that list.
Yeah.
And we try to review, and if it's like maybe older than 20 years, we try to find something newer. But I think there's still a few old ones on there.
That's fair. Thank you.
Well, thank you. We're excited to, yeah, we're excited to see you in person in October.
And Joyce, you don't know where that will be yet. It'll be one of the hotels by the airport again, correct? Up, you're on mute.
It will be, in Chicago within 5 minutes of the airport. So one of those,
Okay, good.
one of the hotels we are usually at. Mhm.
Okay.
Right.
Well, thank you all very much for joining. Thank you, Joyce and Brian, for getting everything set up and helping to prepare. And Peru, thank you as well for helping to get all of these assignments set up. So if people have any questions, concerns, the concerns send to Brian, the questions send to me. But I look forward to seeing your items. I know you guys did a great job at item writing last time. I'm excited that I get to see them in progress this time.
I'm sure you'll have 100 items by Sunday evening, right?
Yeah.
That's my expectation. You all are overachievers. All right. Thank you, everyone.
I think Eric got it the right way. September 12th. Yeah.
Yup.
All right. Everyone have a lovely weekend. We'll be in touch.
Okay, great. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Yeah.